It should have been just another business dinner. A table full of laughter, crystal glasses chiming against one another, and polished men congratulating themselves over another $1 million deal. The kind of night Frederick Wilson had been to 100 times before, soulless, mechanical, successful. But success means nothing the moment you lock eyes with the person you once swore your life to. And realize she's carrying your child. There she Saturday. Veronica. His ex-wife. Wearing a deep sapphire blue dress that shimmered like a calm ocean before a storm. Her hand rested on the curve of her belly with the kind of gentleness that only mothers understand. He hadn't seen her in 4 months. And she was visibly, unmistakably pregnant. He stopped breathing. 5 months, maybe 6. She hadn't noticed him yet. And for a moment, just one blessed, cursed moment, he was allowed to study her without the armor of confrontation. Her skin glowed, her cheeks fuller, her eyes quiet but strong. She looked radiant. Peaceful. She looked like someone who had finally learned to live without him. Frederick's stomach twisted. He did the math like a man solving a murder scene. For months divorced. 5, 6 months pregnant. There was no question. The baby was his. And she never told him. Before he could stop himself, before his mind caught up to his body, he was walking toward her. Everything else, the voices, the wine, the celebration, faded into silence. His feet were moving, but he wasn't in control anymore. Some other force had taken over. She looked up. Their eyes met. And everything inside him shattered. It was all there in her face, surprise, yes. But then pain. And after that, something even colder. Something deliberate. Like a door slamming shut. She looked away. And gently placed her hand over her belly. As if to shield their child from him. And just like that, he was no longer a man. He was a memory. A mistake. A shadow she'd already outgrown. Before the story continues. If this already hit your heart, tap subscribe to follow the rest. Comment where you're watching from, and tell us. If someone broke you and came back, what would it take for them to earn your forgiveness? Let's talk in the comments. Let's grow from these stories. He barely registered his voice when it came out. Veronica. She didn't flinch. She looked straight at him. Frederick. Her tone was calm. Civil, as if they were old acquaintances who had once passed each other in another life. "You're pregnant," he said. The words felt so useless, so small. She tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable. Excellent deduction. Still sharp, I see. Her sarcasm cut deeper than a blade. How far along? He asked, already knowing the answer. 6 months next week, she replied, her voice level, her hand still protectively curved around her stomach. 6 months. A number that echoed in his chest like thunder. He should have known. He should have been there. Why didn't you tell me? He managed, his voice cracked with the guilt he hadn't yet learned how to carry. She smiled. But it wasn't warmth, it was steel. When exactly? While you were busy undressing your assistant in our home. Or when your lawyer tried to paint me as the gold digger ex-wife. She laughed, soft and sharp. No, perhaps after you told me that I was suffocating you. Every word was a stone. And he swallowed each one like someone desperate for punishment. I have a right to know, he said, trying to sound firm but failing miserably. "A right," she repeated, her eyes narrowing. "You gave up every right the day you betrayed our marriage." The words didn't just hit. They buried him. She looked away for a moment, breathing through the quiet fury in her chest. "I found out I was pregnant the morning after I caught you. I took a test because I was late, even though I didn't believe it would be positive. After all these years? I didn't think it was even possible anymore." Frederick's heart stopped. They'd tried for years. Fertility treatments. Tears. Arguments. Hope that died and rose again and again. And just as the marriage was falling apart, just as he had let it collapse, life had found a way. A miracle had happened. And he hadn't even been there to see the light break through. "I tried to call you," she said. 6 times. That day. "I thought," he started, but the words collapsed before they formed. "I know what you thought," she cut him off. "You thought I was going to scream, beg, guilt you. But I wasn't calling to drag you back, Frederick. I was calling to tell you that we were going to be parents." A single tear slid down her cheek. Not from weakness. From release. From finally saying it out loud to the man who didn't deserve to hear it. He couldn't speak. His mouth opened, then closed. Useless. Stupid. Empty. She checked her watch. "I'm meeting someone." His stomach dropped. The irrational fire of jealousy burned in his chest. "Who?" he asked. "My doctor," she replied calmly. "We're going over my birth plan." Relief flooded him. And then, shame. He had no right to feel anything about her life anymore. "Veronica, please. Just one conversation." "I didn't know." "I swear to you. If I had?" "You'd have what?" "Signed the divorce papers slower." She shook her head. "You don't get to play the hero now, Frederick. You weren't there when I was scared. When I threw up every morning for weeks. When I heard the heartbeat for the first time. When I watched our baby kicking inside me, and I couldn't tell anyone because the father of my child had vanished into bed sheets that weren't mine." He wanted to say sorry. But sorry had become such a meaningless word. Instead, he reached for his wallet and handed her his card, the back scribbled with his personal number. "If you ever need anything." She took it. Slid it into her purse. She didn't say thank you. "I need to stay healthy. That's all I'm focused on." "I've missed you," he whispered suddenly, surprising even himself. Her eyes flashed. "No, Frederick. You missed the woman who made your dinner. Who covered for your late nights. Who pretended not to notice when you were drifting." She stood, elegant and poised. A man in a blazer walked toward her with a clipboard in hand. Older, professional. "Miss Johnson. I hope I didn't keep you waiting." "Not at all, Dr. Franklin," she said, her voice softening. She didn't introduce them. Just nodded toward Frederick. He was just leaving. And just like that, he was dismissed. Not with cruelty. With finality. He didn't go back to his table. Not really. He Saturday. He smiled. He raised a glass. But he wasn't there. His mind was still at her table. Still at her belly. Still at that heartbeat he never heard. That night, in his penthouse, the silence screamed. He didn't turn on the lights. He didn't open a bottle. He didn't call anyone. He just sat in the dark, surrounded by wealth, and realized he was the poorest man in the world. The view outside, once a source of pride, meant nothing now. He had lost her. And somewhere inside that loss, he had lost himself. But inside her? Inside that beautiful, brave woman? Was the one thing he had prayed for and stopped believing would ever come. His child. His second chance. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late. The next morning, Frederick didn't wake up. He rose long before dawn, long before the city lit up in gold. There were no meetings scheduled. No deals to close. No headlines to chase. There was only one thought pressing against his ribs like a ticking clock. I have a child. I have a child, and she thinks I'm unworthy of him. He sat at the edge of his immaculate bed in a suit he hadn't changed out of since last night. His phone in one hand. The quiet in the room louder than any siren. And for the first time in years, he didn't reach for coffee, or a to-do list, or his stock app. He typed something else into his browser. 6 months pregnant. Baby development. Then, 3rd trimester complications. How to be a supportive co-parent. And finally, how to become a father when it's almost too late. Hours passed like pages turning in a book he should have read years ago. Each line was another weight. His son was about the size of a lettuce now, they said. Could hear sound. Could distinguish voices. Could feel stress. Could dream. But he wouldn't know his voice. Frederick placed a hand over his heart, like that could fix it. Like somehow, if he concentrated hard enough, the connection would reach across space and silence. I'm sorry, he whispered to no one. I'm here now. The phone rang. He jumped. A name lit up his screen, not the one he wanted. Lisa. His sister. Veronica's friend. He answered, unsure if he should brace himself for fire or forgiveness. You look like hell, she said. No preamble. No mercy. I feel worse, he replied. She told me you saw her. She's pregnant, Lisa. I know. Frederick blinked. You knew. Since she found out, Lisa admitted. Why didn't you? It wasn't my secret to tell. He stood in the middle of the penthouse, stunned by a silence that wasn't silence at all, it was realization. All this time. All these months. She tried to call me, he said softly. Yes. 6 times. The day after she caught you. I thought she was calling to scream at me. No, Frederick. She was calling to tell you you were going to be a father. The pain landed like a punch. He gripped the counter to stay upright. I've messed everything up. Lisa didn't soften. Yes. You did. He didn't argue. Couldn't. I want to fix it. Fixing it and earning her back are not the same thing, Lisa warned. Don't confuse them. I want to be a father. I want to help. Even if she never forgives me. There was silence. Then Lisa said something that nearly brought him to his knees. She's naming him James. What? James Jr. She said she wanted him to have something from his father. even if you weren't going to be in his life. He couldn't speak. His throat tightened. His chest ached in places he didn't know could hurt. Lisa? She doesn't hate you, Lisa said, gentler now. But she doesn't trust you. And she shouldn't. Not yet. I'm not the man I was. Then prove it. Not with flowers. Not with empty words. With presence. With patience. He nodded even though she couldn't see him. I will. Start by texting her. Something real. He stared at the message box for 20 minutes. Then finally typed. I'm not asking to be forgiven. I just want to be involved. I want to support you and our son, however you'll allow me. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. He hit send. And waited. An hour passed. Then 2. Then, finally. Sunday. Coffee shop on Maple Street. 10 a.m. Don't be late. He breathed. For the first time in days, he breathed. Sunday morning arrived with a chill in the air and something warm in his chest. He got there 30 minutes early. Sat at the corner table by the window. Ordered her a raspberry tea, remembering her pregnancy aversion to coffee and how she always reached for raspberries when she was anxious. At exactly 10 a.m., she walked in. Frederick felt the air shift. She wore a soft, floral maternity dress, yellow with lavender blossoms, and looked like sunlight had stitched itself to her skin. Her eyes were tired. Her walk careful. But she looked beautiful in a way that broke him open and stitched him back together all at once. He stood, but didn't reach for her. Boundaries. Respect. Time. You're early, she said, easing into the chair. I didn't want to risk being late. I appreciate the tea, she added after a sip. You remembered. I remember everything. She looked down at her cup. Talk. I've been a fool, he began. I let my fear and selfishness ruin the best thing in my life. I blamed you for our struggles. I looked outside for comfort when I should have been holding you tighter. She didn't speak. I know I can't ask for anything. Not yet. But I want to be here. For you. For him. For whatever you need. Still, she said nothing. Then, after a long pause. He's kicking. She placed a hand over her belly. He always does when I'm stressed. He hesitated. May I? She nodded. Carefully, he reached across and placed his hand where hers had been. And then it happened. The kick. It was small, but it was real. And it undid him completely. He blinked hard. Swallowed down the emotion rising in his throat. That's our son, he whispered. Yes, she said quietly. That's your son. They talked. About parenting. About plans. About what she needed. He told her about the nursery he was preparing. The therapy he'd started. The parenting classes he joined, even though he was the only one attending without a partner. I'm not doing this to impress you, he said. I'm doing it because it's what I should have done all along. She watched him carefully, searching for the lie. But this time, there wasn't one. Tuesday, she said at the end. 2 p.m. I have a doctor's appointment. If you're serious, meet me there. I'll be there. And he meant it. The waiting room smelled like antiseptic and fear. He arrived 15 minutes early. Paperwork in hand. His name scribbled in the father section. No one questioned it. She arrived exactly on time. She looked surprised to see him already waiting. "You're early," she said. "I told you I won't be late again." They sat side by side, quiet. Awkward. But it was a start. Inside the exam room, when the nurse applied the cool gel to her stomach and the soft whooshing sound of the heartbeat filled the air, Frederick thought his own heart might burst. "There he is," the technician smiled. "Strong little guy." He looked at the screen. At the flicker of life. At the miracle. And for the first time in his entire life, he cried. Not because he was sad, but because he had never felt more alive. When the ultrasound was done, the technician handed them a copy. Frederick took it like it was gold. He didn't even care how cliché it was. That black and white image of his son. It was everything. They left the clinic and walked slowly in silence. "I'm hungry," she said. "There's a little Italian place a block away. They make a great pasta primavera." She considered. Then nodded. They sat by a window. Sunlight filtered in. A bouquet of sunflowers on the table. And for the first time since everything fell apart, they smiled. The pasta arrived steaming hot, and for a moment, all conversation fell away. Veronica sat across from him in her soft floral dress, sunlight catching in the delicate curls of her hair. She twirled a forkful of noodles slowly, not eating yet. Frederick watched her quietly. Every movement she made felt deliberate, guarded, thoughtful. Like a woman used to carrying everything herself, even when her heart was heavy. "You joined a parenting group?" she asked suddenly, her tone caught somewhere between disbelief and curiosity. He nodded. "Thursday nights. I'm the only one without a partner. It's a little awkward, but I'm learning. Taking notes." "Why?" The question wasn't sarcastic this time. It was honest. He set down his fork. "Because I missed everything so far. I missed the first ultrasound. The morning sickness. The cravings. The moment you found out. I missed the first time you felt him kick. And I can't get those back. But I can be here now. I can learn now." She looked down at her plate, then back up. Her expression had softened, just a little. "You really are trying." "I am. Still not sure if it's for me, or for yourself." "It's for him," Frederick said without hesitation. "And it's for you, too. But mostly, it's for the man I want him to see when he looks at me." Veronica's eyes glistened. She quickly blinked it away, took a sip of her orange juice, and changed the subject. "The hospital offers birthing classes on Tuesday nights. I'll be there. You don't even know the time yet." He smiled. "I'll still be there." The weeks passed like leaves falling gently from the trees. Tuesdays became sacred. Appointments in the afternoon, birthing classes in the evening. Frederick adjusted his entire schedule around them, declining meetings, rescheduling calls, leaving deals on the table. At the classes, they practiced breathing techniques, watched videos that made most of the other couples giggle nervously, and learned how to fold impossibly small baby clothes. They were mistaken for a married couple more than once. Neither corrected the assumption. It was simpler that way. But simplicity didn't mean absence of emotion. Each touch, each look, each moment they shared inside that sterile hospital conference room slowly began to peel back the distance between them. One night, as Veronica winced getting out of the car after class, he moved to help her. "You're back." She nodded, pressing her hand into the small of it. Without asking, he guided her to a bench under a soft halo of streetlight and knelt behind her. His thumbs found the base of her spine and he began working in slow, practice circles. "Where did you learn this?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "Online videos. Prenatal massage tutorials. Some guy named Dr. Brian on YouTube says circular motion relieves tension." She chuckled quietly, a sound he hadn't heard in too long. "Dr. Brian, huh? Well, tell him he's right." The city hummed around them, cars, footsteps, distant laughter. But in that moment, there was only the sound of her breathing, steadying under his hands. He didn't ask to go up to her apartment that night. He simply helped her inside, made sure she had everything within reach, and left her with a small smile and a whispered good night. Progress was slow. But it was real. One night, nearly a month later, she called him. Not to talk about the baby. Not to set an appointment. Just to talk. Frederick had just gotten out of the shower when he saw her name flash on his screen. He picked up instantly. "Veronica." "I dropped my heating pad behind the bed." He blinked. "Do you want me to come get it?" A pause. Then softly, "Yes. Please." He was there in 10 minutes. The door was already unlocked. Inside, her apartment was warm, filled with soft light and the scent of lavender. A stack of baby books sat on the coffee table. A tiny Odyssey draped over the back of a chair. She sat on the couch, one hand cradling her belly, the other rubbing the back of her neck. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm tired," she admitted. "And I hate asking for help." He retrieved the heating pad without a word, plugged it in, and gently positioned it behind her back. She exhaled. Then, "Thank you. Let me make you something to eat." "You don't have to." "I want to." He moved around her kitchen like it was his own. Found eggs, bread, a half-ripe avocado. Made toast. Scrambled the eggs just the way she liked, soft, no brown edges. When he returned, she was dozing slightly. He nudged her awake with a soft whisper. "Eat something." She opened her eyes slowly, looked at the tray, and something in her face shifted. "You remembered?" He nodded. "I remember everything." They sat on the couch. Ate in silence. The warmth of the meal filled more than just their stomachs. "I never thought I'd be doing this alone," she said quietly. "Even after everything. I thought I'd have, at least a partner. A witness. Someone to say, you're not crazy, you're just growing a human being." Frederick's voice cracked when he answered. "You do have someone." She looked at him. And for the first time since they separated, she didn't look away. He stayed the night. On the couch. No expectations. No assumptions. Just presence. In the morning, she found a breakfast tray waiting, a note on top. "Call me if you need anything. I'll always come." And somehow, she believed him. The next few weeks blurred into a rhythm. He picked up groceries. Scheduled her appointments. Walked with her on the days her ankle swelled too much to drive. Attended every class. Made smoothies when her nausea returned. Cooked when she was too exhausted to stand. She never asked. But he always showed up. And slowly, the walls began to soften. One night, as they sat beside each other after dinner, watching a documentary neither of them were really following, she spoke without turning to him. Why her? The question hung in the air like the edge of a storm. Frederick didn't pretend not to understand. She made me feel like I wasn't failing, he said after a long pause. Like I wasn't broken. When the fertility treatments didn't work, I felt useless. Like I had nothing left to offer you. And instead of talking to you, I ran. Veronica didn't respond. Just let the silence stretch. He continued. She wanted nothing real. Nothing permanent. Just a title. I thought that made it easier. It didn't, she said. No, he agreed. It destroyed everything that mattered. A long breath passed between them. You could have fought for us, she said. I should have, he whispered. But I was a coward. Veronica turned toward him then. And in her face was everything he feared, and everything he hoped for. People don't change overnight. I know. But they can change. He met her eyes. I am. I see that. Then, slowly, she reached out and took his hand. It was not romantic. It was not passionate. It was something deeper. It was trust. And for Frederick Wilson, it was the most sacred thing he'd ever been given.